This is Josie Brown, and I'm bringing you movie reviews with my two co-hosts, Chaz Mosier
Hello there, how's it going?
and Christopher Lopez, aka Reddick Storm.
Oh, hi.
He's Mexican. Anyway, the first movie we'll be discussing today is Friday the 13th. We watched three movies, Friday the 13th, On the Waterfront, and Zardos. Zardos? It's something with a Z.
Yeah.
It's pretty shitty. But alright, the first movie, Friday the 13th. Chaz is the one that picked this movie, so he will be talking about it.
Go. Thank you very much. Friday the 13th can basically be described as a classic slasher film. It was released in 1980, following the success of John Carpenter's Halloween. Many people decided to capitalize off the success of Halloween with their own slasher films, including the likes of Nightmare on Elm Street and Child's Play. But a prime example of this would be Friday the 13th. This movie was directed by Sean S. Cunningham. Main actors were Betsy Palmer, Adrian Kane, Harry Crosby, Laurie Bartram, Kevin Bacon, and Mark Nelson. Basically, Friday the 13th is one of the most well-known slasher films to date. It has 11 sequels to it, including a remake, and there's also going to be a sequel to the remake coming out, I believe, this year.
Such a piece of shit. Keep going.
The basic plot of Friday the 13th is a bunch of horny teenagers get killed by an unseen killer who is later revealed as Pamela Voorhees, not her son Jason, who would go on to be in the next 11 films, excluding Part 5. Jason drowned as a boy, while the camp counselors all weren't paying attention. Mrs. Voorhees is killing the counselors in order to avenge her son's death.
Different counselors. Not the right ones.
Many different counselors. There was two that were killed at the beginning of the film.
All right.
That moved on.
We'll
many
get
years
into
later.
that. All right. So, what was the opening scene of the movie? Because I completely forgot.
Basically, two camp counselors were having sex, and basically it was a POV shot of someone watching them. You don't know who it is until the male camp counselor is killed, and then the female camp counselor is killed as well.
One thing I found really awkward about this movie is it seems Jason's mom, the killer, seems to be a complete pervert. I mean, she watches at least 2 sex scenes in this movie, even under the bed for the second one.
It is a very strange moment. Man, people, a lot of people who probably are poser Friday the 13th fans would assume.
Just discuss the movie.
Well, anyways, a lot of the death scenes, though, they were really interesting. I have to say.
I
don't
would.
know about that.
The first
What'd
death
you guys
scene. All right, the first death scene. Once I saw that, I'm just like,
Is that the one with the lady jumping out of the car?
no. Well, I meant the first, the start of the movie.
Oh.
Where they were
I
having
don't
sex.
remember that one.
That one, I was just like, oh my god. It was like, and then they kill him, and I'm like, Friday the 13th peers up. I'm just like, this is going to be a long movie with no story.
I can honestly say I don't remember
One
that
thing
one.
about slasher films is that they go completely quickly and you just don't realize it.
I would say that went very slow. It was
Yeah,
very
that was slow.
drawn out.
I'd say most slasher movies do a much better job than this.
Hands down.
You do have to admit, guys, the death scenes are pretty unique in their own ways.
I guess, yeah, Under the Bed, that was pretty, it made me jump a little.
It was a little unique,
Were the others
but it wasn't
really, though?
interesting.
Well, the axe to the head, the bow and arrows to the face and body.
The only part of the movie that I actually liked is when that lady got her head chopped off.
Yeah, that.
Well, it was
I was like, thank God this is done.
That was towards the end, guys. Just remember, but that was one of the worst. The old lady, what was her name? Voorhees.
Pamela Voorhees, Mrs. Voorhees.
And who was the girl?
I believe her name was Anna.
Anna. And oh my, that was the worst fight I've ever seen. She runs, they fight. She runs, they don't hurt her.
One thing I went
Oh
into
my
this,
God.
I was thinking it's an older classic, so it shouldn't have to be that scary. But then I realized it's 20 years after Psycho. Psycho is much better than this, and it's much scarier. I mean, they have no excuse for making this. You said it's made after Halloween.
Yes, 2 years.
So it just feels like they're trying to recreate that.
Yeah, most people would assume they were trying to capitalize off the success of Halloween and Psycho and The Exorcist.
And then with
Classics
11
of
movies
that.
later, success complete.
Well,
Because they're so low budget films, and the acting is atrocious.
I would agree. I have to say though that Friday the 13th, the original Friday the 13th, is probably one of the better ones of the franchise because a lot of the sequels are really horrible afterwards. Though, but the movie itself.
Would you say
I
then
think
that these are good guilty pleasure
I
movies?
would say that because if you're looking for something to waste your time with, like before you're doing
I'm
something,
sure
it's
for
a good movie to
horror
watch
fans-
for an hour and a half.
For hardcore horror fans, it may be. Personally, I'm not a big horror fan, but
Not each their own.
I feel like Halloween's a better movie for them, honestly, though.
You know, a lot of people would prefer
Yeah, the
Halloween
White
over
Horse.
Friday the 13th, though.
The remake.
Well,
Even the third one, which
every
was the worst,
horror
probably.
franchise leads to shit sequels, you know. you know. But
This one just was like, all right, we're
This
making a
movie
first
led
one
the
in.
way to way too
Ah.
many shitty movies.
it definitely
way
had a
too
sequel
many.
bait
That's not
ending.
including the sequels. Oh my.
Usually, when you talk about a classic, you talk about so many movies that try to recreate something. I feel like so many movies did this, but did it better. Cabin in the Woods did this movie, added in that paranormal elements at the end of that movie, and
Yeah.
I think that was like a
They've
better
had a little
version
bit more
of
of
this.
an
I do
Evil
have a
Dead
major
feel, though.
question. Could you guys buy Mrs. Voorhees as a killer in this film?
No,
No, not at all.
Oh, hell
I
no.
still say Jason killed
When I
everyone.
saw her, I started laughing. I'm like, is this a parody movie?
And then the Jason's talking to her. I'm just like, and then I saw at the very end when Jason pulled her over the boat. And all
I'd
that,
like to
but-
say something nice about it because it's a quote classic, but I think it's just as bad as any movie now that tries to rip off a bunch of movies. It's not a classic just because it's old doesn't make it a classic. Just because it made the way for so many other bad movies.
I would agree though that Pamela Voorhees is kind of a
One thing I
silly
was really
killer.
confused about
Oh,
during this
so-
movie was that one character who looked like he was trying to be a Tonto wannabe.
Oh,
With the
yeah.
Indian jumping up
Yeah.
and down. I was like, is this supposed to be like...
It's just teenagers acting crazy. I think that's what they're trying
Aren't
to
they
make
supposed to be like 19, 20?
About
They're
like college,
they're
out of
camp
college,
cons-
camp
counselors.
fresh out of college.
I'm like, why is this guy a camp counselor? How did he do doing the interview for this? He somehow got this job?
I think
I
the
don't
setting
know.
though was pretty good for Camp Crystal Lake because basically it's out of society, it's out of
Yeah,
civilization.
the camp was
So,
nice.
I
I'll
mean,
give it
this
that.
might have been the first one that really did that.
Yeah, compared
In
to
the
like
mainstream,
Halloween,
at least.
Halloween had a neighborhood. Friday the 13th, you're in a camp. You're in
I just,
the wooded
they
area.
just didn't do very good with what they had. I feel like they could have done much better.
Yeah, I understand. The soundtrack, I also thought, kind of helped build suspense for the movie because I feel like without the soundtrack, the music too, not just that sound, just as well as the music. I also think the music kind of helped build suspense because without the
I
music,
hated that.
this movie probably would have been really bad, horrible, even worse than what you guys.
Would you
probably
say
think
this
it
is? Would you say this is better or worse than Nightmare on Elm Street, the original? You'd
Yeah, I'd say it's worse. Nightmare on Elm Street really wasn't that bad compared to this. It had a better story.
When,
But-
when did that movie come out? Do you-
Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984.
Yeah,
so
it
that was
4
trying to
years.
recreate this.
Oh, that's a different.
It was more
Nightmare
creative.
on Elm
though.
Street did have their own
Yeah.
unique idea.
Yeah.
The budget for this film was $550,000. The box office was $59.8 million.
And now we know why there's 12.
Pretty
more.
shocking, right?
But like
Enough for a
that's
sequel,
enough
yeah.
to afford the next 100 movies or so. We're just gonna keep going.
And it got
We'll
a
just use
58
that.
on Rotten Tomatoes. Also to add to that, many people would probably be shocked at that, honestly, at this point, because they think it deserves lower. People would be probably shocked to know that if there's a 58% on Rotten Tomatoes for this movie, that this deserves lower. What do you guys think? You guys think this deserves much lower, or maybe a little higher?
I don't think it really matters.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
It did pave the way for the horror genre.
And 10 other sequels or
A lot of people
11
could
or
say
12.
Halloween did, and Friday the 13th is a copycat of Halloween, basically, but using an old woman as a killer because they tried to
It was
swerve the fans.
It was a unique spin. I mean, to not have it as Jason and to have it as his mom. I mean, it had a story there. It just didn't work. And by that time, I didn't care enough to like
Yeah,
it.
it was a.
I felt like if they did a better
before that.
job in the beginning of the film, building up the suspense and the deaths, I think I would have cared a little more. It would have been more interesting. But
Yeah, honestly, I was like 60 minutes in and I was getting very bored.
it failed as a swerve, as a reveal.
My last question is: before you guys watched the film, were you guys at all interested to know basically what the movie was about? Like, were you guys when you guys started watching the film, were you like, I wonder what this movie's going to be like? Am I going to be scared? Am I going to be bored?
Felt
Am
like I
gonna
was
be angry?
watching a really campy '80s movie that was trying to be scary but wasn't.
Oh, yeah. I hated that girl in the beginning, too. What, do you remember her name? Annie, was it?
Can you
stay till Friday?
Come on. All right, I'll do it for you. Okay.
Yeah. Good thing that all the annoying characters were killed off though.
Every character was killed
Well,
off.
I mean,
except
not
the
all.
one.
Just the last girl.
Is she in the sequel?
Yeah, she is.
Oh my god. How many sequels is she in?
She's just in that one.
Oh dear.
I guess we know what happens to her.
Yeah, she does. She does. First one to get killed by Jason. Actually, they could have left her in for the entire.
It's
they made her,
just-
the main hero in the entire series.
It's just like the
not-
Final Destination series. They had that one girl survive and then
Yeah,
she died
it's
two
like-
movies later. It's just horrible.
But overall, despite all the negative criticism, you can honestly kind of agree that Friday the 13th is a
How can
horror
we
movie
honestly
classic.
agree if we don't agree?
A horror movie classic.
I don't
is a
know
classic,
about that.
I don't know.
That kind of contradicts our.
All right, let's talk
opinions.
about some of the other scenes. What is another scene that stood out to you guys?
The axe scene where the girl, I forgot her name. I think it was Marnie, got killed with the axe.
No,
they
that was
didn't
just
show.
to me. That was just
It
another
was a good
death.
effect, you know. I know Tom Savini did the effects in that movie. He's
The
pretty good
Monopoly scene, that was just a huge tease.
for it. Oh, the strip Monopoly. Yeah, it was.
I was waiting for that.
I really wasn't. I don't know about
I
that.
thought he was going to come in and kill them all, or she, while they were all just playing Monopoly.
I thought it's pretty cool when Bill was on top. When was his name Bill?
Yeah, Bill.
He was on the second top of the bunk bed. Why they and the other guy was laying there before he was killed, and the camera moved back to show him. Now he was dead, and I'm just like, all right, this is interesting for once. I'm listening, I'm watching, and then that was probably my favorite death besides.
Yeah.
Last.
I will say though, the sex scenes weren't all that exciting though. I never got excited watching them. You know,
So, what was the part of the movie that made you guys want to turn it off the most?
probably noticing that Mrs. Voorhees is the killer and how you have to believe that.
So,
this
until
woman-
that point, you didn't want to turn
I
it off.
like slasher films. I'm a slasher film guy, so I gotta understand that. And I just it's kind of dumb that this old woman, probably like in her 60s, killed all these teenagers. They couldn't fight back. They couldn't kick her ass. They couldn't take the knife and kill her. They couldn't get away, but they all get killed. You know.
My main problem with that was if Mrs. Voorhees was able to kill all these teenagers, how was the one girl at the end able to survive? And
Yeah, I still feel
Their little
Jason
wrestling
killed him,
match?
to be honest. I mean, it's not.
I wish that was it.
That would make sense. Because under the bed, this old lady's just hiding under the bed, like stabbed through the bed, and
and
you're
while
like,
they're like bouncing up in
she
bed,
killed Bill. She killed Bill and threw him on top of the bunk bed. Like, what the hell? How does that happen?
and then
There's
like
some
she gets
things,
beat by a young girl.
Yeah, a young girl who hits her with a pan or something. I don't even remember.
I'm pretty sure any of us could pretty much kick her ass in like a minute at most, maybe less, probably. Just how weak these people are.
I felt like she was a little too cheesy. The movie was very
I
cheesy.
will say though, she did do good acting. I think she was the best actress in the film, at least. Everyone else was just there, but
I thought like
that's basically what a slash film is.
What's his name? Christie.
They need to try
Steve
harder.
Christie. Yeah, Steve Christie.
He wasn't too bad.
He got killed in a weird way though.
Yeah, he just walks up and
just
it's
like,
like,
"Ooh."
"Hey, who's that with the lights on?" I'm like, "Oh, okay."
That's probably the worst death scene in the film.
That was the worst death.
And
It made
there
no
was a death
sense.
where the girl got thrown through the window kind of lazily. She just fell through the window.
Wait a second.
That was towards the end when she
Wait
found
a
out
second.
Miss
So
Voorhees
the
was
old
killed.
lady, her name's Pamela Voorhees or whatever. I don't remember. Don't care. But she, for the first girl in the film, the cook, who got in her Jeep. So the old lady kept driving, and then she stopped. She chased this girl into the woods, and the girl is scared. This old lady, as
Well-
she chases her into the woods, like,
Yeah, some of the stuff people were probably
it's very
So-
questionable.
The girl got scared of being in the car with the old lady.
Yeah, with the old lady.
After her driving past for 10 seconds and she jumped out. I don't think many.
And then as she chases her in the woods, so you're saying
I mean,
this
she's
girl
she's
is-
about what 20, 19 years old, and she's that scared of an old lady. I don't know about that.
It is a good thing that they hit her face until the end because if they showed her face around that time,
They
people
showed
would
her
probably
face.
walk out
I
of the
wouldn't,
theater.
I wouldn't have watched the rest of it.
Oh my
I
god! If
could
I saw
understand
that,
I could understand that.
I was wondering why they didn't show her face. To be honest, I'm like, I wonder what this is gonna be.
They were
But
trying
now
to
that
be
I
like
think about it,
Halloween.
it's
How
like-
was the remake? I didn't see it.
The remake is honestly better than this film, but
what year is it?
2009,
All right.
and they are making a sequel to the remake. I believe it's a found footage remake, which sequels, which
That's
I'm
a
not
different
going.
spin.
I'm not going to see. it.
Well, there's 12 different spins.
Yeah, that's a new spin on the 12 different spins.
What's the worst one in the series?
Part 5. Jason Voorhees has a copy. There's a guy pretending to be Jason Voorhees, and he somehow kills all these people, and he kills more people than any body count any Jason Voorhees film. I believe 25 people get killed in this film, and it's by this random guy in a Jason Voorhees costume. And this is another guilty pleasure movie I've watched in the past. However,
That's the worst.
it still is.
Have you seen all of them?
Not all of them.
Which one of you haven't seen? Which one?
Jason Goes to Hell. I have to watch that one. It's the one where he
I've
possesses a lot of
heard that.
people.
I
He has
say
like
we
a
watch
demon
that one
heart.
tonight.
Yeah,
He's got like a demon heart and he possesses a bunch of people.
I'm
And he still
interested.
Didn't
kills
they make a
people.
Jason versus Freddy movie?
Yeah, they made that.
You know what? It may be a horrible movie, but it kind of interests me how they made 11
It kind of
more.
interests me
And-
if the
All the
do
sequels
the
are
second
more
and the
interesting.
third and whatever. Do they get it right any more than these?
Jason Voorhees didn't even come in with the hockey mask till the third one. In the second one, he had like a bag over his head.
Oh god.
If you've seen part
Let's not watch the second one. We already know that the girl dies.
Yeah,
I say
the
we
lead
skip
girl in
right to
first
the
one
third one.
dies. I wish kind of the lead girl would stay in for a few films made her more important. You know, they could have added more to her
Do you really
character.
want to see her though?
They could have added more to her character, and over time, people would probably like her more. You know.
Yeah, I mean, maybe she's cooler, but she was not that great. She was horrible fighting. I don't even want to talk about the fighting scene between her and
They could have
Yeah,
had
I
that.
mean, Jason probably would have
choreographed
hard to
better.
try to
yeah,
fight
that
him.
went on for a long time. For being a really bad scene, it just kept going and going. Like I wasn't.
It's funny how you grow up seeing all these horror movie stereotypes, and then you see the one that came from, or one of the major ones, and you're just sitting there like,
What?
I can't enjoy this just because of the other 100 ones I've seen. It's just like, it's harder to enjoy, I think, because I've seen this after so many of the others. Unlike Chaz, who's seen this like so long ago, I feel like for him it was one of his first, and it's easy for him to enjoy it. For us, it's like we haven't really seen it until now, so it's harder to enjoy it when we've seen it so many times.
After seeing this film, would you guys would have been interested in watching like part 2 through the other parts? Like,
I
would
would
you want to
say
see what
yes.
happens next?
Yeah,
I would
one
say
was-
yes, just because there's 12 more that they have to get something.
Yeah,
right.
some with that many, it makes you wonder. Anything with that many movies, you're like, there has to.
One
be
of my
something
other
in this.
main problems with this movie is it felt like a gore fest without any gore. It felt like he was trying to be this gore fest, but there was no actual gore.
Yeah,
in the
like
movie.
Chainsaw Max.
Most
Massacre
slasher
done
films
wrong.
are pretty much in the 80s. Like most.
They had some special effects, but there wasn't that much blood and gore compared to some of the other ones probably in the series.
Yeah,
And
it was more of a scare factor than the gore factor.
I
That, at
think-
least what they're going.
Did they? Does it seem like they moved on from the scare factor more to gore later on?
Yeah, they have.
What movie would you say starts the gore over scare?
Hellraiser.
What number is that? Because we don't know.
No, the first Hellraiser was pretty gory.
No, what movie in this series started going for
so-
more gore effect than actual scares? Would you say?
Probably starting with like part 3, honestly.
So the
I
first
think-
two are the only one that were really trying to be scary.
Yeah, honestly, they just really go for just death scene after death scene after death scene through these films. Honestly,
All right, let's give our ratings. I'm gonna rate it. All right, Chaz, you go first since this is your movie.
I would rate it a 4 out of 10, and this is because I think personally that it is a classic film, but it has a lot of flaws, though. Just the fact that Mrs. Voorhees was the killer, you can't buy that. You expect all these 20-year-old teenagers, most of them look pretty buff too, like the males. They should have kicked their ass, but all of a sudden they just get their stabbed, throat slits.
God.
They could have escaped out of like the woman who, not woman, the guy who got killed from underneath the bed. He could have like got right out of that after she put his hand on his head. Because literally, he was laying there. She put her hand on his head, and he just laid there like this in shock.
He only had
that.
half a second. If
Yeah,
you mean
he
from
could've-
under the
he-
bed, she stabbed him through the bed.
Well, he could have been really.
I think it would have taken
him
a longer to stab through the bed.
Yeah,
Well,
'cause, like,
she's a
this-
superhero.
Was there a
kind of confusing
mattress?
thing.
Was there a mattress under him?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, there's a
right.
metal box. What the? Oh my god!
It's like the-
So
Ah,
she had to
flaws.
aim perfectly,
Yeah.
go through like
with an arrow too. You
like
got
an
murdered.
8-inch mattress, and then without anyone hearing anything, her trying to rip. What did she have the whole plan perfectly? Is that what happened? She's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I know these teenagers, they're gonna be doing this.
Yeah, you think about this stuff when you're bored like that. When you're bored of this film, you're like, oh, I wonder why that happened or stuff.
Well,
like
it's
that.
more like that with everything in the
It's
film.
hard to
questionable.
believe. It's hard to believe.
Some of the deaths
most
were pretty stupid though too. Like there were better deaths.
All right,
scenes
so
in the
Chris, what
sequels.
would you rate it?
Oh dear. Talking about it and looking back, I like it more than I did when I watched it. When I watched it, I was like, "Oh my, I can't even." Oh, there's 40 minutes left. But I'd say it's like maybe a 3 out of 10, if that. Just because there's so many more, and I'm interested in continuing the series from this.
I'm gonna give it 2 ratings. I'm gonna be that guy. I'm gonna give it a personal rating and my professional opinion. My professional
Sounds good.
opinion, 1 out of 10. I think it fails on so many fronts to even be considered a classic is beyond me. Now, my personal opinion, I'd give it more of a 3 or a 4 out of 10 because I think it's funny enough to watch and wonder about what are all these death scenes? What do they mean? And why did they happen this way? And why did they do it this way? They could have done it a lot better. They could have went for more of a Halloween, the first one, but I think they tried to recreate a movie, failed, but then it spawned so many movies it's kind of turned into a classic when it really shouldn't be. I feel like that's the biggest problem with this movie. You shouldn't have high expectations when you watch it. I feel like nowadays it's kind of like if you haven't seen it before, you might have higher expectations because you've heard so much about the series.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then when you see the first part, you think you're getting Jason. You get this old woman. It's like
Yeah,
in her
I was very
60s.
surprised. I've never seen any of these, and I was surprised, and I enjoyed the surprise, but then I didn't care enough about it. That was the main problem.
Yeah.
And yes, I did say main problem a few times because there was a few main problems. with
Kind of
this
wish the end of the film wasn't kind of like a weird scene where she's in the hospital.
Oh yeah, and she thought Jason dragged her into the river and killed her.
Yeah, I
And then
kind of
she's
wish
like,
she actually got killed by Jason.
was that a dream or did that actually happen?
Yeah, you'll have to wonder that, but I'd rather have it just he kills her and then
Because he
goes-
comes in the second one.
Yeah, and he's all grown up in the second one too. So this is
So he
it is a
survived
dream.
that drowning.
Yeah, he did. Somehow.
He's not like he didn't come
Somehow.
back to life, right?
Well, he did die in part 4, and then he
No, but in the first one, in the prequel, whatever, did he die in the storyline in the beginning?
yeah, they're saying he drowned as a child, so he died.
So how is
He's haunting
Technically,
them.
he is. He's.
so?
died,
Don't they
but-
kill him in the? So how do they kill him if he's not dead?
I don't know.
Or if he did die and he's
It makes
back
no
to
sense
life?
because they say he's still alive until part 4, where he gets killed, and he comes back in part 6 as a zombie serial killer, zombified killer. Part 5, he's the copycat guy.
Now I really want to watch that one.
Yeah, this is getting so like it's.
This is going to turn into a movie marathon. I'm telling you.
Yeah, we're gonna watch every Friday the 13th.
All right. Well, thank you for listening. If you did,
Yeah, thank you.
and
Hope you got
I'm
through
sure
this.
we got facts wrong about this movie. So
Yeah, forgive us.
if we did, forgive us, and well, thank you.